images there out of Shogunus. We're getting the footage there live. Traffic as per usual this time of the morning, 6:18. For those coming into the city, you know, you see folks who live in South and Central, they have so much to go through every single morning. You know, the kind of time they have to get up and prepare themselves and leave before a particular hour, before 6 o'clock in some cases, before 5:30, just to get into the city on time. And we're seeing in the background there, at least the sun is peeping through, so we might get an ease, but there was lots of rain, wee hours of Tuesday morning, wee hours of the morning. Let's head across to Tobago, where we welcome the president of the Tobago Business Chamber, Martin George. He joins us on the Zoom line to discuss crime and criminality in Tobago. We saw the unfortunate murder of a SRP Special Reserve officer over the weekend. The reports I saw via the papers was that he was robbed of his gold chain. Whether the culprits, whether the gunmen knew he was a SRP, we have no idea, we'll never know. But nonetheless, it takes the murder tally in Tobago to 10, Martin, which for a country that is about 60,000, that depends on tourism.
Yeah, and island of 60,000 people.
That is a bit, that is, I mean, 10, Trinidadians might say, well, only 10, what are they complaining about? But we have to consider this is Tobago. And this is unprecedented.
The population size. Consider the population size. You know?
Martin, good morning. And what's your take on this? Because obviously from your position, from your seat, you look at this, yes, the crime and criminality impact, but also the business impact and the message this sends to the rest of the world regarding Tobago.
Yeah, and not just the rest of the world, Jason. Good morning to you and good morning to your viewers. You know, it's also a major factor for most Trinidadians who come to Tobago for vacation. They love Tobago because it's a place where they feel, well, they can, relax, let their hair down, you know, breathe, and, you know, don't have to worry about looking over your shoulder. You could go out late at night, you could come home any hour, and you don't have to be, you know, checking to see if a car is following you. You don't have to worry about a carjacking or kidnapping or that kind of thing. So, I mean, it's not just from the international perspective, but even from the domestic tourism perspective, it's important that we emphasize safety and security in Tobago. And that's why, you know, as a business chamber, and I mean, from a personal standpoint, I have also thrown out a challenge to the Commissioner of Police. I said, hey, listen, look at all your police divisions in Trinidad and Tobago. The Tobago division is the smallest division, the smallest number of people, right? It's only 116 square miles. It cannot be that you are saying that this division you cannot manage, or, you know, you cannot make it a safe space or a safe zone. So start with the low-hanging fruit. If it is that the Tobago division is your smallest division, then concentrate your efforts there and at least show the nation of Trinidad and Tobago that, look, there's one division you can say is a safe space, and Tobago is the place where you have to start. And I mean, it's important, I think, even for the morale of the TTPS, if they can show the nation that, hey, listen, all right, maybe Trinidad is a runaway horse, but at least we can secure Tobago. And when I say that, I don't mean doing so by the knee-jerk reaction where ex post facto, you then send up a battalion of soldiers and police to flood the streets in Tobago and have roadblocks and, you know, snarling traffic to make it appear that you're doing something after, you know, PC Lashley has been murdered. No, the fact of the matter is you ought to be doing that groundwork before. You ought to be there on the ground. You ought to be in the communities, getting your intelligence, gathering your information, you know, getting, you know, to the source of the illegal drugs, the illegal guns that are flooding Tobago, and putting a stop to it. That's how you take proactive measures rather than simply being reactive. And that's where I think the challenge lies for the TTPS and the THA in respect of crime and criminality in Tobago.
You know, those who went after deceased PC Lashley used guns, I'm sure illegal firearms. I know we have a serious problem with that in Trinidad. What's the current status in Tobago, and where are these guns from your intelligence, your understanding of the situation coming from?
Well, the thing is, Jason, I mean, it appears that largely they are coming through the legal ports of entry. So it's either the airport or the seaport, and the majority of them seem to be flowing through the seaport. We have called repeatedly for there to be the vehicle scanners, whereby you would be able to scan the vehicles as they drive onto the ferry coming to Tobago. All right, or as they drive off, whichever one. But the fact of the matter is, here's the absurdity of what occurs at the Port Authority, Jason. You have a walk-on passenger being scanned. So in other words, you walking with your two hands swinging, they're scanning you. You are going through a scanner. But somebody could drive on with a van load of illegal guns, and there's no scanner for that. I mean, let's make it make sense, please, people. Let's make it make sense. What's the purpose of that if you have no vehicle scanner? I mean, there's nothing wrong with scanning the individual passenger. Sure, that's great. But the fact of the matter is, where you really are concerned about, you know, if somebody's, you know, has a trunk load of big, long assault rifles, they're not going to come through the walk-through scanner with that.
Martin,
they'll drive on the boat with it.
Martin, walk me through this again, because again, spare my ignorance on the matter here. I've not used the boat. The last time I used the boat to go to Tobago, you'll laugh. It was the MV Panorama, which I nicknamed.
Wow, which is somewhere in the Mediterranean.
That's right.
Making money for its new owners.
The MV Tetanus, I used to call it back in the day. Now, I have not. Unfortunately, when I go to Tobago, it's sometimes to work, so, you know, I'll just take
you want a quick stop, yeah.
You're telling me that, okay, they have no sniffer dogs, they don't open the trunk? You're telling me I could just drive my car on and no checks and balances?
They do some manual inspection in terms of, you know, a cursory look at some of the vehicles. Sometimes they will tell you open your trunk. Sometimes they may not, because if they're running late and they don't want to delay the sailing, they may not do so, or they may select some vehicles. But the fact of the matter is, Jason, the most efficient and effective way is just to simply have the vehicle scanner and have people just drive through that.
Wow.
And you sit down with your technology, and you would be able to look at it and see what's in there.
My mind is blown. My producer's now telling me that she went to Tobago recently, and they just open the trunk, they do a quick look at the top, and they didn't do a deeper search.
It's a very cursory, because say, for instance, okay, look, Jason, I mean, I could give you a simple example. All right, so, okay, they search your trunk. They don't even ask you to get out of the vehicle. So you could have an illegal handgun under your seat, in your glove compartment, you know, under the back seat of your car. They don't check those things. They just tell you, open your trunk. They give a, you know, a once over, and they say, okay, all right, go ahead. So there's no, and the point is, I mean, even from a practical standpoint, if they have to do a thorough search of everybody's trunk and all the stuff that people pack up when they go in Tobago, either on vacation or, you know, business or whatever, that's very time consuming. So I could understand practically the officials at the port are not able to do that type of intensive manual search. And that's why we are supposed to be using the technology. Jason, what year are we in? We are in the year 2022. Come on. This is not rocket science.
So in essence,
you have the vehicle scanners. Why can't we get them and just use them? You know, I mean, I've also said that we need to use sometimes the simple intelligence, like, for instance, the TTPS ought to have, you know, plainclothes officers on the ferry on each sailing. I've said so. If you have plainclothes officers on each sailing of that ferry, and you have your list of wanted persons, you know, persons who have outstanding warrants, I guarantee you on almost every sailing, they will be able to arrest and pick up somebody. If you understand me. You know, so we need to go back to some of the basics of what policing is supposed to be about. And, we need to move some of these officers out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Too many of them sit in the air-conditioned police station, watching cable TV and ordering KFC and Pizza Hut, and, they then drive around in their air-conditioned cars. We've seen videos of police officers blasting their buju bantan or whatever in their cars. So I mean, the thing is, the focus does not really seem to be on any proactive means of trying to detect and prevent crime.
Well, Martin, as we wrap things up, we are very solution-oriented here on The Morning Brew. These recommendations, which, again, they are very doable, what you just mentioned. Did you furnish some of these recommendations to the TTPS or even the THA?
We have mentioned them repeatedly. We have actually submitted a comprehensive crime plan document to Mr. Farley Augustine, the Chief Secretary of the THA. It is an extensive document. It has been submitted to him. We are awaiting his feedback on it. But the fact of the matter is that, it's not just to have a plan. You need to now implement and execute. So we are hoping that the THA understands its role and responsibility in this regard, and that they will take up the mantle and try to do their part to partner along with the TTPS to ensure that you provide the safety and security to make Tobago a safe place and a safe space for all of us.
Martin, I want to thank you as always, and as you would have said there, the scanner, I think that will be a step in the right direction, because in essence, what I gather is that these illegal firearms that come through our porous borders now are able to filter into Tobago via the legal seaport.
And there are a lot in Tobago right now.
Very unfortunate.
There are a lot of illegal firearms.
Martin, all the best. Thanks for the time this morning, and let's stay on top of the story. We'll find out when we talk again if your recommendations are taken to heart and they implement them.
Yes, have a great morning. Thank you.
We come back with the developing story, the story that makes the front page of today's Guardian. It's a developing one, and we will get the latest from the woman at the center of this development, Karen Nunes-Teixeira, PNM political leader candidate, talking about the electoral process lawsuit. That conversation up next.